Tough on power, sharp on insight. Heather du Plessis-Allan on the Mike Hosking Breakfast. With The Defender, embrace the impossible. News Talk ZB.
Right, we've got the commentary box with us after 8 o'clock, but of course 23 away from 8. Christopher Luxon, Prime Minister, in studio with us. Chris, hello.
Good morning, Heather. Good to see you. You're working. Hosking's on holiday. You're out there hustling still. It's great.
We need to talk about long summer holidays, and we're definitely going to get to that. I just need to talk about Andrew Costa. Did you watch the Q&A interview?
No, I didn't, but I did see some of the media reporting on it. And, I think the bottom line is, look, the IPCA came through with a pretty clear, finding, which was a pretty appalling behaviour. I think he's done the right thing.
Do you think, it is a bit of a he said, she said with the allegations that he's levelled at Mark Mitchell and Chris Hipkins, but I wonder if he made a point where he felt things were a little unfair, where the IPCA report didn't find a cover-up or corruption, and yet ministers went out and basically said that. Yeah,
I think, there's no doubt there was no mention of corruption at all. I want to be really clear about that because that's a really, legally defined word. I think the reality was it was pretty appalling what happened, and there was an abject failure of leadership at the top, and the IPCA was pretty crystal clear around that. That was pretty confronting, pretty shocking, appalling, I think, for the government to receive, but also for the public to hear about as well.
Did you go and talk to your ministers about why they were going so hard and why they took what was not a cover-up finding, not a corruption finding, and then escalated it to that in their commentary?
As I said, Mark immediately withdrew those remarks, but Mark Mitchell's addressed that. The issue's settled for me. The big thing for me is just remember there's a young woman at the heart of this. There's actually someone who's done some serious wrongdoing. And it's actually really important that we face up to that and we bring it out and we put sunlight on it and we call it for what it is and are transparent about it. And now we've got to do two things. We've got to move on very clearly with the police commissioner to actually make sure we reinstate high levels of trust and integrity, and standards are important, and he understands that and is doing a good job around that. And the second thing is we've got to make sure that we put in place this Inspector General for Police. I have an Inspector General as Minister of Intelligence, that serves, oversights the intelligence agencies. We do something similar in Defence.
Yeah.
That's the strongest possible statutory mechanism we can find.
What about Costa himself? Does he have a future in the public service, do you think? It's obviously him trying to redeem himself here.
Yeah, look, I don't know. By his own admission, he just got his judgments wrong, right?
So you're open to having him back?
No, I'm not saying. It's not something I've considered, because the bottom line is what I'm focused on is actually, there's no doubt about it. Police have taken a hit in terms of trust and reputation. I feel badly for the 15,000 men and women actually in the police force have been tarnished by the behaviour of a few. I don't think that's very fair. And as a result, I want to make sure that they sort it out.
You haven't promised him any future jobs, have you?
No.
Okay. Now, what are we going to do about these police formal warnings?
Yeah, look, that's a good example where you've seen a new police commissioner come out and actually, talk to these issues. And it's important that the system's obviously capturing them, but it's pretty sloppy.
Do they need to stop issuing them?
Well, again, they need to obviously complete paperwork and do it the right way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and that's about standards.
You can see how this is open to abuse, eh? Like if you're a copper and you go up to somebody and you say, I'm going to give you a formal warning, and the person says, look, I don't accept that I've done anything wrong, they could just issue the formal warning anyway. And this is how we've ended up in this situation. Yeah,
look, we had an issue, a month or so ago around, police officers not filling in, drunk driving forms as well, or processed properly, false registration of drunk driving stopovers. So, look, all of this stuff just says to me, it's great. It's good that it's actually been talked about. It's good that it's out there. But, the challenge for the police commissioner, has been in the job 11 months, frankly, and I think has done a very good job of replacing his executive and setting standards at teachers' police college, all that good stuff.
He's doing the new broom thing, but do you think we need to get rid of the formal warnings?
No, not necessarily. I just think they need to be, process needs to be properly followed as it has been.
You worried about this taxpayers union campaign that's going to be launched against Nicola Willis?
Well, I haven't seen it. I would find it very unusual that a taxpayers union would want to advocate for a Labor-led government with a radical economic agenda of tax more, spend more, borrow more, wouldn't you?
I love that from you. I don't think that's what they're doing. What they're doing is they're saying she's spending too much, taking on too much debt. Like she's outspending Grant Robertson. That's remarkable.
No, look, she's doing a fantastic job. She has inherited a hell of a mess, the worst recession in 35 years.
Well, why not tidy it up?
A big COVID hangover. She is tidying it up, and we are tidying it up. You look at... If you go back and, it's interesting. I've heard you say, look, you just get rid of the Pacific People's sort of, classic act policy or whatever.
The women's ministry is my problem.
But on the other hand, then, we've got we've got to find billions of dollars. And, let's just look at it. If you look at the growth in government spending, there are actually half of it's tied into health and welfare. Welfare and superannuation actually. 25% of it's actually in health. and the other balance is actually in education, where we've put a bunch of investment in, and also in financing costs.
You sound like you've given up, though. I mean, cut the women's ministry, save yourself a few million.
That's rubbish.
Cut the third-year interest, the free year that we pay for the students. That'll save you a few million.
You're mucking around with single millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars. We're talking about, and I love that. But
save the pennies, the pounds look after themselves, Chris.
Let's be clear. You gave us a huge amount of grief, about pay equity, right? We supported that program at $3 billion.
Are you name-checking me?
Hipkins then went bananas and actually went into the cabinet and actually blew it out to $13 billion. There's $10 billion worth of difference. And when we face up and say, look, the system's unworkable and unaffordable, what happens? You go bananas at us on it.
I did not. That is such a crock. So. I did not. I thought it was the right thing to do. No, listen, seriously.
You thought it was right to spend another $10 billion over what was planned. And that's the conversation.
No. I think what you guys did was the right thing to do.
I'm illustrating that's the stuff you've got to do. But equally, you also will say to me, I don't believe in actually lifting the superannuation age from 65 to 67. Well, in there, 50% of your cost is in superannuation and welfare.
Yeah, well, that's a very long argument
can
we
I
can
just
have.
push back on you on that one? Because I think you should reconsider that
position. I'm not going to.
No, you should.
Okay,
because
I will. Here's
in 2001, they lifted it to 65. In that 25 years, the average New Zealand male is living 4 years longer. So why can't we lift it 2 years?
Chris, I'm happy for you lift the pension age, but I want to see you tidy up the finances first, right? And cut the nonsense. Cut the women's ministry. We don't need it. Women are going toe-to-toe with the boys at the moment. Cut things like paying free education for third-year tertiary students. They don't need it. Now, when you tidy all of that up, then I'll go, sweet as 67. Love it.
But if you're in our position, there's sort of three courses of action, right? So, I mean, first of all, you can carry on with the spend more, tax more, borrow more of labour, and that just punches the problem out to our kids and our grandkids. Not going to work.
Yep.
Equally, what you're sort of advocating for, and is that you can go for a super hard austerity, and actually that causes huge amounts of pain and suffering to lower middle income working New Zealanders. What we're doing is actually finding the middle way through, which is say, look, actually we've taken $44 billion worth of savings out of the back office. We've made serious investments in nurses, doctors, education, corrections, all of that good stuff. But it's no different from what Key had. If you think about Key in 2010, at the end of that cycle, you had expenditure of core current expenditure at 34% of GDP. We're at 33% today.
Hang on,
it was year in, year out. Disciplined
Bill English
control.
Ran zero budgets, right? Nicola and you have not run any zero budgets. You've increased on Grant Robertson's spending. And while I take your point that austerity is hard, so is debt, which has gone up massively.
Tell me about it. I divided a $9 to $10 billion interest bill the other day, and that's 5 Dunedin hospitals.
You've taken on $45 billion worth of debt yourselves.
But what we're doing is actually making sure that we actually, over a number of years, you do this over a number of years, as Key and English did. It was discipline over a number of years to make sure that you actually get yourself back into a deficit position.
Now, I feel like we're getting ahead of our skis, because this is really next week's chat once the Taxpayers Union come out. Listen, I wouldn't
understand why they'd want to come out, given they wouldn't want to advocate for a Labour-led government and the madness and the radical economic agenda.
Did you see this chap, Toss Brumley, complaining that our summer holidays are too long? And do you agree with him?
Well, I got to be honest.
Apropos Mike Hosking being on holiday for 7 weeks.
4 months a year, I think it is, isn't it? Like 3 hours a day,
seriously, the lawyers
35 weeks a year.
Lawyers are complaining that the RMA reform in the 6 weeks that they need for written submissions is over summer, and it's just not long enough. Would you extend it for them? Because they need to go to the
I mean, that's a decision for the select committee. But no, we don't. People, no, you can get your submissions in over summer. It's fine.
Do you think our summer holidays are too long? Having worked in the States?
Well, look, I mean, I spent most of my career working overseas for 16 years, as you know, and in the US you maybe get 2 weeks annual leave holiday a year, and Christmas is a couple of days off, and then you're back at it again, and your financial year end's always December 31, so I've always been used to going back to work on the 3rd or 4th of January, and that's probably what I'll do this year.
Yeah, and so it's taking a bit of getting used to, is it?
Well, it's just, we've got a lot to sort out, we've got a lot to do, and we've got to keep moving.
Hey, just before you go, how good was that ASB prediction for next year?
Yeah, really encouraging. I mean, there's actually been a number of really good things coming through, and it's lovely to hear the media talking about them finally, which is great. And so whether you look at the business confidence, you look at farmer confidence, you look at tourism outlook for the summer, it's happening. So
it's on for next
year. It's coming, and I know it's been tough and it's been difficult.
Yeah.
But in a 2-year period, to actually wrestle your way out of the mess that we're in. The cool thing, and this is Nerdville for you, but I was really happy with the trade balance. It's for the first time come back from 18 billion deficit, that we're now exporting more stuff to the world than we're importing from the world. And that's a good sign.
Look, I'm happy to call that. That is quite nerdy. But then again, that's the job. Chris, listen, thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day. That's Chris Luxon, the Prime Minister. It's 13 away from 8.
Want award-winning